Hello, collective. Alright, so I was planning on just reading for justice, um, but the Wheel of Fortune, I was thinking about, waiting for your payout, waiting for your karma, right? And as I was looking for shuffling and then looking for justice in the decks so that I could find the little sandwich that goes around them as clarifiers, the Wheel of Fortune popped out in both of the shuffles, in both decks. So in what you can't see and what you can see, and there was Five of Pentacles energy, and the Five of Pentacles was coming out as well. It was popping up in the splits. You might feel like you're doing gymnastics, I guess. But this is also, when you think about doing the splits, it's really activating and lubricating the sacral and root chakras, right? Opening the hips and all of that. So this is kind of all about the release of expectations, the release of pursuit, the allowing of divine timing, right? This is all about trust. I mean, justice is a major arcana, but it is a major arcana because it's all about the divine balance of all things. There is balance in all things. And, as Libra, not as a Libra, but as the sign of Libra is, represented by the major arcana justice, that is, if you are Libra, particularly if you are a female Libra, you may struggle with that. Or if you are the divine feminine and you may struggle with getting into your divine feminine energy, right? Which is about waiting to receive. It's about being patient. It's about trusting the belief, the 5D connection to source that everything's going to work out. And if you're talking about a divine union, waiting for your divine masculine to come in, that has been the struggle in all of these. But I feel like that's a global, universal thing. Across all energies and disruptions in the collective balance, is that the divine feminine is really off kilter and has been for some time. It was snuffed out, societally. It was really, put in a box for a long time, and then it came out of that box and it was like, no fucking way. Like, I don't want anything that resembles a box. But divine connection, I kept wanting to say attachment, but that's the wrong word, of course. That's the root chakra talking there. That's the Saturn in retrograde talking. The connection, and you could be struggling with, getting out of old connections, letting go of connections. Those are going to really inhibit your karmic balance. Those are going to inhibit your Wheel of Fortune, right? Your divine fortune that comes in, your blessings, your abundance, this divine union that you're looking for and longing for. And so it's understanding that you can be in a box but not have the lid shut on you, right? But it's you putting yourself in not necessarily a box. In the way that we think about the term box is so pejorative, and it has such a negative connotation. So if we think about a box as like a home, and our body as a home, it's like the four walls, it's the four, it's the balance, right? That's the divine balance, is four. It's the four elements. I mean, there are more elements, but those are the four elements that we talk about in tarot. Earth, wind, fire, water, right? Those are the, maybe you're listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire. But see, water is missing from that. And that's the season that we're in right now, Cancer season. And, coming up on this Saturn polarity full moon in Capricorn. Capricorn is the workaholic. It's also, it's the, it's all cardinal energy, right? We're longing for, if we are the feminine, if we're talking for feminine energy, we're longing for this divine masculine, which is the Emperor, which is represented by Aries. You could be dealing with an Aries, but it's just that energy, which is cardinal fire. It's double fire. It is the purest form of masculine energy. And the Empress is the purest form of feminine energy, right? Which is Taurus and Libra as well. So if you're in this struggle as the feminine to get into your feminine energy, and if you're a masculine struggling to find your divine feminine, right? Although I feel like with the collective, the energy is that the masculine has already in the 3D identified their divine feminine, but the divine feminine, so they know their worth. And so they're trying to rise up to that. They're trying to make sure that they come in correct, because an emperor doesn't pursue very often. When they pursue, it is only for the empress. And so they really are honing their energy, balancing themselves, making sure that they're going to be able to come in with compassion and strength and really support and lead the feminine. Now for the feminine, if you've been waiting for someone like this, you've been waiting for your person, which is a master of their craft, you may have mastered the 5D earlier, and you're waiting on somebody to come and help you master this 3D, right? Because if you're a very spiritual person, this 3D can be very challenging. I mean, it's challenging already, but it's even more challenging when you are aware of, and then you come into alignment with the 5D. It only makes the 3D more challenging. Unless you get into a masculine, I was going to say physical and then I don't know what I was going to say, but unless you get into a more masculine energy, which helps you kind of have to be your own power couple within before you come into union. So you're this divine feminine, but you've been in your divine masculine trying to lead yourself. And that is great for balance, right? That's very helpful. It can help you to lead yourself, to motivate yourself, right? Masculine energy is very motivated and inspired, right? So you could be really struggling to keep yourself motivated and inspired, right? And just do. Not sponsored. I don't even remember the last time I had a Mountain Dew. It's been a long time since I was driving pizzas. I think I used to drink them a lot. Anyway, but that struggle there for the divine feminine to, what you're doing is you're sending out signals. Like if you're Miss Independent, I am deep. Like if you're Miss Independent, I got this on my own. I don't need any help. I don't need someone to lead me. I can do this all on my own. You may have come into like a shadow aspect of yourself because you've been leading your own way for so long, because you've been doing all the masculine work, right? And you've maybe been assuming the male gender roles, right? Whatever, however you view those things, right? Just take that or leave it. And so it's like you've been assuming these positions for so long that the idea of allowing someone into your space is like, you want them. You want this strong, powerful emperor. But the challenge is to release, not standards, expectations of the timing. It's mostly about the timing, because you can see your person, you've felt them. Like the feminine identifies the masculine energetically through the 5D, and then they get themselves on that frequency, and then it calls the masculine in, right? Because like attracts like. It calls the masculine in, and then the masculine sees them in the 3D. But because the feminine has been doing all this work in the 5D, they're kind of oblivious a lot of the time to their divine counterpart. And that's why the divine masculine has to kind of, all right, take the reins from here and then pursue the feminine, because masculine pursues feminine. Masculine is active and feminine is... So if you've been in this active place, so if you're the divine masculine, this is the kind of divine feminine that you're dealing with, and you probably already know that because you're probably already looking at them, watching them, and hopefully not in a creepy way, or maybe a little creepy, you know. But you are watching them, you've identified them, and now you are honing your craft, you're doing all your Eight of Pentacles work, right? You're really working on your tools. you're double checking, you're sharpening, you're clearing the rust, you know, it's like you are going through and you are calibrating and you're getting all of that together and getting that ready, because you're going to need these tools to build this empire. And so you can't come in with like, you know, broken tools. You have to be completely self-aware and self-regulating before either of you come into divine union. Now, if you're the feminine and you're waiting on this individual, know that they see you, they're coming in, they've at least gotten on the frequency, right? But now, if you are in this place of, I don't need anybody, that's the signal that you're sending out. If you're taking on the that active masculine role, then you're sending out this vibration of, I don't need anybody. And then guess what? The universe isn't going to send you anybody because you don't need anybody. So this is a lot about the way that we think, the way that we talk, what we speak out into the universe, right? You know, and it's a struggle being on this divine path, regardless, masculine, feminine, it doesn't matter. It's very difficult because you are doing most of it alone, if not all of it alone. And so there are moments of doubt, right? And there are moments where you get into that Five of Pentacles, right? Your 3D world feels like it's lacking. You're not seeing the gifts, the abundance that you've been working so hard to attain, right? And that you've been trying to call in. And so there's like a burnout of, well, fuck it, I'll just be a taker, right? If you look around you and you see that takers are just winning, they're successful, they've got 10 of Pentacles. It looks like they have 10 of Pentacles. They don't truly have 10 of Pentacles. And if they have 10 of Pentacles in the 3D, then they're about to have a tower because they're not divinely aligned, right? So you know who I'm talking about. Not to say that there are no people out there that have the 10 of Pentacles and that are not divinely aligned, but just I feel like the ones that you are looking at, particularly on through media, and if you're referencing the external to tell you what's going on internally, when it comes to your alignment, there can be a lot of challenges there, right? If you're not on to the game, right? Or if you've started to teeter on your faith a little bit and your patience, right? Which is a very human trait. And when you're doing things alone and you feel like, okay, like this is great, I've been doing the best I can, I've been patient, but where is my money? Where's my money, universe? You know, and you're like sending out this, and you could be, you know, struggling financially, but but it's more pentacles, it's more the 3D, it's, you want to see the result of all of your work. You want to know that all of this has been for something. And that's what justice is. That's what karma is. It's about keeping your balance, your thoughts, your communication with self and with the universe and with those around you nice and direct. Now that's what I was thinking with the box, right? That's where I was going with the box. A box can be a very safe place, right? It can be very balanced. And the way that you identify is also very important, right? So a lot of people find that identities or labels come from the outside. That's what other people tell you you are. Identification comes within. Identify as. And so it's like once you kind of have a name, sometimes once you have a name for whatever's going on inside, right? And that can start with your sun sign, right? It's like, oh, I'm a Libra. And then you look into your chart and you go, oh, that makes sense, that makes sense. And it's finally getting yourself like some nomenclature. It's finally getting yourself some facts or physical proof to explain who you are. Because a lot of this path is our emotions and our feelings falling on deaf ears, right? Falling on narcissistic ears. They're not listening. These people don't care. They're self-serving. They're oblivious. They're not attuned. They just don't care. And sometimes that's just mindless, and sometimes that's malicious. But it's a difficult balance to remind yourself who you are and to stay true to who you are if you don't really have a way to describe it. So you can put yourself into your own box. Like, nope, these are my boundaries. And I can leave this box whenever I want because I put myself in it. Now, if other people put you in that as a label, they usually close the flaps and tape it shut and then send you off to who knows where. And then you end up on like a shipping freighter or something, bound for uncharted lands. But anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Something like Madagascar or something, and or like I recently saw something that perturbed me, where it was somebody advocating for killing the iguanas as an invasive species, and I see that a lot, where with plants, with animals, we've seen it with humans, where they are shipped to a different land. They're brought in as merchandise to be exploited, to be enslaved, to be monopolized. And then when they thrive in this environment, right, anything you bring to Florida is going to thrive because it's just that way. Florida is, yeah, it's the heat or something. But anyway, they thrive, and then, yeah, this person was like, kill them all. And it's like, Jesus. What happened to the melting pot? Like, we don't apply that to other species, of course. Speciesism is real. And that's just thinking from the iguana's perspective. It's like, they were brought over here because people wanted them to put them in a cage, to put them in a box and say, oh, look at this really cool exotic creature I have. And then it grew and it flourished, and then they just threw them outside, and then they took off. They thrived, and now we want to kill them. And it's like, we did this to them, and now we're ostracizing them. And I just watched the movie Tracks, where that was the case with camels in Australia. They have, I guess, the highest number of wild camels, because same thing, they were brought over to be used and exploited and made as pets and broken, and then they were, let to go free, and they ended up thriving, and now like they're like an invasive species over there. But anyway, there's my vegan rant for the reading. So I just feel like that's kind of maybe what you're feeling or your person is feeling, but in this like a place, it's like, and you could be struggling with like, why was I born? What's my purpose here? When parents do this a lot, they bring children into the world for their own narcissistic needs, and then they're like, they reject them and they put them in boxes, and then they just set them out into the world. And then if you're dealing with a narcissistic parent, which I think many of you probably are, narcissistic exes, and then just the whole world as like a narcissistic demonic entity itself, because there's not just one collective, right? There is one collective, but it's divided, unfortunately. But there is a collective of like demonic and the fallen shadow aspects of the collective that most of us are navigating. But it's like your parents brought you into this world. You were brought into this world, and then you were just neglected. You were abused, rejected, not nurtured, just used for someone else's delight. And you could be struggling with that in a romantic partnership, or you could have just recently gotten out of something like that. Which, if you're trying to jump from that into a divine union, it's not going to happen. You need time to heal from that. So if that's the case with you, I did another video on like why you should be single for a year according to tarot. So there's some steps that if that speaks to you, then you need to go through those steps and rediscover yourself and find out what box you want to put yourself in. But there could be a lot of heartbreak around that. Like, I really can't stand the song anymore. It's so overplayed. But this song by Billie Eilish, What Was I Made For? It's very much like that. Like, you were brought here and you have this purpose, you have this divine purpose that you feel a great calling to, and it's this pull, it's this draw, but you're not seeing it in the 3D. You're not seeing it, and that's really discouraging you from your path. And justice is balance, right? It's all about balance, your karmic balance, your internal balance, masculine, feminine energy, shadow and light aspects, right? We need to be, and that's the shadow work process of going within, really befriending those parts of you and nurturing those parts of you in the way that you were never, like the shadows are like the the split child versions of ourselves, right? The underdeveloped versions of us. And as adults, as adult children of chaos, what our purpose is, or what our not like the purpose in the grand scheme, but the first major step of that path on our path of purpose. Peter Piper picked a pickle peppers. Is to go within and talk to those little inner children that are within you, that are just sort of like, they're like orphaned. And you could be an orphan, right? Or you could feel orphaned. What did I just watch? Not too long ago. It's an old movie. Is it Deep Impact? Where Tia Leone's character, is it Tia Leone? Yeah, she's talking to her dad, and you know, the world's coming to an end. It's a catastrophe movie, and that's kind of what we're in. We're kind of in a catastrophe movie. But she's an adult, and she tells her dad, you know, she's very successful and motivated and independent and all this stuff, but she, you know, tells to her dad, I feel like an orphan, because her, you know, parents are sort of, and maybe your mom left your dad, or your dad left your mom, and your dad was never in the picture, and your mom never remarried, and there's something to that that's very, because your dad is part of you. And so if your mom is ever talking poorly about your dad, then it's like they're talking inadvertently, it's sort of directly, poorly about you. So or if they're saying, like, even if they say, oh, you know, your dad was great, or if they say that you're great, or you're just like your dad, you look just like your dad, you act just like your dad, or vice versa, if you could grow up with a single father and they did this with your mother, if your parents divorced and you always felt split and divided in between the two. Finding that divine balance of masculine and feminine is very difficult when you've grown up in these environments, because you've got two parents who, if they remarry, then it neglects the feminine part of you, or the masculine part of you, right? Whichever parent remarries, it neglects the opposite aspect of you. And if they're still like, oh, your dad, if a parent passed away and your parent never remarries, or if they get divorced and your parent never remarries, then it's kind of saying, no matter what you think about whatever your parent thinks about that other parent, is like, if a mother never remarries, then it's saying, like, it doesn't get any better than whatever your dad was. So if your dad was a jerk, a narcissist, he's remarried, he has different families, he's a cheater, a liar, abusive, it doesn't matter. If he was alcoholic, it doesn't matter, because she never got to the point where she was able to rise above that, learn her worth, tell herself a new story, and then find a partner that matched that, to show you the way. As a child, your parents are really instructing you on what kind of partner to be and what kind of partner to attract, right? And those two are intertwined. So something with that, parental dynamics, but that will really knock your karma, your balance off, right? Now, karma is a different thing. Karma and a Wheel of Fortune, this is why I want to do them together, is because karma is all about what you put out, you get back, right? Now, if you're doing this in a manipulative way, and you're like, oh, well, maybe if I just you know, if I give some money to this homeless person, then maybe I'll get money. Or maybe if I donate to this place, then I'll be donated to. If you very directly, now this is very conditional because that's what the box is. When somebody else puts you in a box, it's conditional. When you put yourself in a box, in a home, in a new space with four walls and that sort of like, like the little pigs, that you brick it up. Maybe your parent was a Pisces, just because the wolf is the Native American zodiac for Pisces. So maybe you have a parent or an ex that is Pisces. But Pisces is about the third eye. It's also about, intuition and the moon. So if you're, you're fortifying yourself up because your intuition has told you to do so, then it can be unconditional, right? You can still open and leave whenever you want. You can still open the door and allow guests in. But you can decide. You can be more decisive, and that's what standards and boundaries really do. Is they are decisions that you send out into the universe, saying, "This is my worth. This is what I expect." It's okay to expect based on standards and boundaries. It's not healthy or balanced to expect based on conditions. Right? So if you are sending out a message that, okay, I'm going to send a message to this person has to be my divine counterpart, and I'm going to send them a message and they don't send me a message back, then you're sort of like, I'm going to do tit for tat, right? If you're trying to play a game, and that's where the Hollywood twin flame thing really gets confusing with this, is because a lot of people will do that very tit for tat, or they'll be like, well, yeah, I know my twin flame, but fuck them. And it's like, if that is your twin flame, what kind of message are you sending to your best friend to say fuck you for being on your own path and taking your own time? That's a really conditional way to love somebody, and guess what? You're going to attract conditional love back in return, because that's karma. You don't want to send out those messages. Now, a lot of times, that's not actually your twin. That's not your divine counterpart. All divine counterparts are twin flames, but not all twin flames reach divine union. So you may also, meet who you think your twin flame is. But this is 5D, so when you're trying to say, okay, I recognize facets of my twin flame, of my energetically, in a vessel, in a 3D vessel, that's very limiting, that's very conditional. You need to feel your divine counterpart as an entity, as a spirit, as a frequency. That's the word I was looking for. But it's as an energetic frequency, and not based on the outer appearance of a 3D vessel, right? So if you meet somebody and you think, oh yeah, that's my twin flame, but you're in the runner-chaser dynamic, then that's not your divine counterpart. Maybe you guys will meet again down the road, you and this person. Maybe you won't. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you pursue something that matches the energetic frequency within yourself, that mirrors what you desire from the universe. Okay, so if you continue to feed energy into a lower vibration, or someone who's not reciprocating, because you need it to be them, it has to be them because they're so attractive, or the sex was so good, or you misread some signs and you thought, oh, this is it. Like I'm resolute that this is my person. Then that's where you get into a place of disharmony within your karmic balance, right? Because every move that you make is every move that you make is going to be to try and attract that person, versus the frequency that you desire from that person, right? And so if you're desiring a frequency from a person that's not on that frequency, you're loving them conditionally, right? You're not allowing them to grow in their own way. You're not allowing that person. So the best thing that you can do is send them out with love. So I feel like, yeah, there could be some stuff in there. That was a lot of talk, information, past stuff. But yeah, so let's just get into the tarot. 30 minutes in. So we have the Justice, and there's that Tower. That Tower will come in and disrupt you. So if you are putting that sort of conditional love out there, but you want someone to love you unconditionally, then you're sending mixed messages into the universe. And to rebalance that information and balance that that frequency, what has to happen is it has to get nullified. It has to come back to center, because that's what balance is. That's what justice is. It's all about the center point between the seesaw, right? So if you're putting all the weight over here on this person, on this condition, on this job, on this, even in yourself, right? This is where it starts. It all starts with self. So if you're saying, oh, I can only, as soon as I get this done, or, well, I'll reward myself once, XYZ, right? If you're putting an if, and, or but, as soon as, or someday, if you're putting an ellipsis on love, love is unconditional state of being, in the now, right? If you're putting any kind of conditions on that, you're putting any sort of parameters on it, then the universe will send you a tower to nullify that. Because the reason that you incarnated, the reason you incarnated, the reason you was born, regardless of what your parents, did in the backseat to bring you into this world, you decided as a celestial being to come down here as a terrestrial being to experience unconditional love with the challenges of the 3D and the ego, right? Because that's like the greatest challenge to unconditional love is our ego. And that's why we need to know our ego. That's why we need so that we're able to communicate our ego to others, right? But we need to communicate it to others that are actually listening. And the only way we're going to find that, those who are willing to listen, is if we are willing to listen. If we are willing to love those parts of ourselves unconditionally without saying, like when you tell somebody who you are as a confession, you still have work to do, right? When you come into divine union, there is no need to explain yourself like a confession or to pay a penance for who you are or what experiences you have in the past or anything about you. And that's, so if you're in a dynamic like that with anybody, that means you're in that dynamic with yourself. And that's why you need to be single. And by single, I mean cosmically single, energetically single. And this doesn't mean just unmarried. This means single as fuck. This means single, not looking, not out there trying to manipulate any kind of sexual energy to attract somebody for now, right? This isn't casually looking. This is just being with yourself, right? And this isn't just with romance either, right? Being single means being unattached, right? So that's that root chakra work, that's that Saturn work, right? Capricorn work. Capricorn is the workaholic, right? It's also represented by the devil. It's attachments and shadows and addictions and misbehaviors. And those misbehaviors are things that bring you off your path, right? So this is the Knight of Cups, right? This is that water energy that we were lacking in the Earth, Wind, and Fire. This is that's funny. I was just accessing a memory, but I won't spend any time on that. But water is very crucial to the emotional process and to coming together. You want the Ace of Cups. You want the Ten of Cups, right? You want the Ten of Cups is the emotions coming into balance with another, into the family, into the abundance, in the 3D, right? You can see them, you can see the vessel, but the water itself is contained in that vessel. It's like, it's but it's been poured into that vessel. There's an intention with that containment. It's more of a holding and a support versus a encapsulation or a enslavement, right? So with that whole box thing, this is putting your emotions into a chalice that you can pour into others and they can pour back into yours. The 10 of Cups is the 10 of Pentacles, right? Coming together. It's that divine union, right? It's the emotions coming together, but in that 3D, right? Where you can see it, you can touch it, you can taste it, smell it. So the Knight of Cups is someone who kind of rushes in a little bit fast, right? They've got this cup here and they're like, woohoo, I got this cup. But there's no, you can't really tell how much water is in there, right? The moon is telling us it's unclear how much water is in that cup. And so this is, if you're going to, right, the feminine does not pursue. So if you're in this feminine aspect, which we all are because we're in Cancerian season, right? We're in this feminine season. But if you're wanting that cardinal energy, that fire, that inspiration to come in and bring a nice warm simmer to your water cup, then you need to slow it down. That's cool it down, actually, not slow it down. Watch out. You're gonna lose. You need to come into the Page of Cups, right? Pages are a little bit slower. Pages can be about apologies and stuff like that. And maybe you're needing to apologize to yourself, right? Along with the 12 months, you know, being the 12 signs, right? That's justice is the balance between those, which is 6 and 6, which is the number of love. So it's love within, love without. Which we're talking about cups here, so that's love, emotions. But yeah, you need to cool it down. Cool it down, and pages are slower. Pages are, they're younger. This is getting into the childish aspect of your heart, right? Being playful in your heart space versus like pursuing love. But look how armored up this individual is, and they're much faster. A knight is much faster, right? So this is about slowing it down and bringing that love within, because you're not going to be unconditional. You were taught to be conditional by your parents, by society, by lovers. They just reconfirmed what your parents told you were or weren't worthy of, and this is about telling yourself a new word. Like, look, now there's life in there. You can tell that there's water in that cup because there's a fish in there, right? And if you want to keep that fish alive, you got to keep water in that cup, right? So this is about just taking some time to nurture yourself. All right, so if you're struggling with where's my payout, then what you're sending out into the universe through that communication with self and without, within and without, is thoughts that you're having is that you're lacking. You're telling the universe, I'm in lack. I don't have something. I have a need that's not being fulfilled. This is saying, I got everything. I got my little fish friend, and that fish friend has their water, and we're doing okay. So this is being your own best friend. Because you're not going to be a very good friend to anybody else if you're a shitty friend to yourself, right? So with the Wheel of Fortune, that's when everything comes together, right? This is fixed energy. This is also coming into that, right? If you're in that cardinal energy, you're longing for the Emperor, the Aries energy, the cardinal fire. Then the counterpoint of that would be not the polarity, because the polarity of Libra is Aries, right? Cancer is Capricorn, and we're really dealing with the polarities right now because Cancer and Capricorn are like right now in this season. We've got, you know, Saturn in retrograde, the Capricorn full moon, and we're in Cancer season. So we've got all of these sort of polarity pulls going on here. But if you're in this Libran energy, then your polarity is the struggle of matching that Aries energy and being in that that energy, which again, for female Libras, it's difficult because you are a cardinal air sign. That's double masculine energies, right? That's fire and air. So what you can do is get into that water energy, which is feminine energy, right? And you can also come back to earth with that fixed energy. Fixed energy is earth energy, so you can get into, you know, maybe you're a Scorpio cusper, right? You can get into Aquarius energy, right? So if you're in that Libran energy, it would be easier to maybe get into fixed energy by way of your air element, right? So you can access that energy by getting on the frequency of air, right? You can get into, which means staying in your element, right? Staying in your home, closing and boarding all the doors. No, just it's staying in hermit mode, but in your way, right? And then if you want to get into earth, would be fixed earth, which would be Taurus energy, which Libras can, and those in Libran energy, and those who are longing for the Emperor can get into that Empress energy, which is ruled by Venus, which is Libra and Taurus, right? So you can kind of see these loopholes into getting into different energy if you're feeling like your energy is, you're struggling with it right now. So you need to nurture your energy. And if you feel like an orphan, you feel completely alone. And then we have Leo, right, which is a fixed fire, right? So if you're in that cardinal energy, the cardinal aspect of Libra, which is that fiery energy, and you think, oh, I want a really powerful Emperor, I need to get into my fire energy. No, because you're going to be telling them, I have all the fire energy I need, I don't need you. So you're going to be pushing them away, right? They're going to be like, okay, I'm going to wait for you to cool it down. Watch out. You're going to lose control. You're going to fall in love is the next verse. Where the hell was I just going with that? Fixed energy, earth. I don't know, something with the loopholes. But you can see how you can loophole. Oh, if you feel like an orphan, you're completely alone, you don't have friends or family or people that you can count on. You have to remother, refather yourself. You have to reparent yourself, right? And get yourself to a place where, as you should have been brought into this world, if you were created in the 3D out of divine intention, then you would be with balanced parents. Now, if you have imbalanced parents and imbalanced siblings and imbalanced lovers and imbalanced friends, and right, that's justice there, right? That's the challenge that you asked for, right? Remember, you asked for this. Even if you don't remember, you incarnated because you asked for this. So it's all happening. That's with karma and the Wheel of Fortune, and really attracting a new truth is saying, I wanted this. I wanted this. And even if you don't remember why and you don't know how it's going to work out, it's all about, it doesn't matter why and it doesn't matter what's going to happen next. Now is all that matters, right? That's the only thing that we can do anything with, right? And that's the trusting in the universe, trusting in divine timing. And that's when justice, karmic justice, and the Wheel of Fortune come together to provide that divine abundance that you've been looking for. But if you feel alone and you've really been struggling to support yourself, right? You may fall back onto old patterns of, talking like shit about yourself, and then that's going to just kind of reverberate out. So if you've got a divine masculine that sees you, they're not going to pursue someone who's being shitty to themselves or shitty to others, right? Because they know, right? Because this individual is balanced within their aspect, where their masculine aspect, where they're going to not want someone who's going to throw their balance off, right? So they're going to wait. So if you're really struggling with that, you reparent yourself. Be your own best friend. Again, like, be your own friend circle. If you've been longing for a tribe, right, you're looking for your tribe, that's not something that happens very often on this path, right? Until the divine union, then you two come together and then you build a tribe, you combine a tribe, right? You combine energies in a way that you attract your true tribe, the ones who challenge you, the ones who nurture and support you. Challenging is not a lacking of support, right? I didn't mean to make it sound like those are either or, right? A big major part of supporting somebody is challenging them, like to be their best and to stay aligned with what they said they wanted. And you know, good friends will call you out on your bullshit. But this is kind of like, you can sort of, and this is like getting in that childish energy of playing with yourself, right? But this is you saying, like, I have all my friends here. And maybe you have pets or something, right? But if you're sending out this vibration of, I don't have any friends, I'm alone, I'm an orphan, like, it's all here, it's all within. You can have this whole world within because you have all these energies, you have all the elements there, right? So if you need the 4 of that balance, right? Obviously this is like 4, you're longing for the 4 of Wands, which is like the marriage, the joint, you know, the marriage, the contract, the agreement, the couple, not necessarily on paper, but in the energetic world, right? You're looking for the 4 of Wands, which means 4 of Pentacles and 4 of Cups. That's being very decisive about who you take cups from and who you give your cup to. And it's very decisive about who you give your energy to with your Pentacles, right? You don't give your energy or your emotions away easily. And this can be, people can say like you're being sort of like stingy or whatever. Sometimes that can be the case with those cards, but I feel like people who say that are usually just wanting you to lower your frequency because it makes them feel better about themselves. Because when you have high standards and you set boundaries and you've built this nice brick house that you're going to live in, it's not going to be blown down by some, you know, bitch ass wolf. It's going to be something that stands the test of time, right? It takes its time. It's not rushing to meet anybody else. And so you can sort of play pretend, right? Remember when we used to play pretend? Remember that? And things felt so great as children? That's because when we stopped playing pretend, we actually stopped sending out pure divine messages to the universe of what world we wanted to create. So this is about remembering where you come from and what you originally wanted, right? When you were at your purest form, what did you see in your future, right? Because it's been all muddied up by attachments, right? By sex and substance and tit for tat and conditional love and you know, indecisiveness and narcissism, and all of these things have just come in and really muddied the waters. But when you were a child, it was very simple, right? You wanted someone that you could hold hands with, someone that you could play with, right? Someone that was kind to you, right? And that you could just share space with. This is what you need to do for yourself, is share space with yourself and just have fun, laugh at things. It's okay. You can be your own best friend, and you're going to be a much better friend to yourself because you don't have to explain to yourself your energy, your shadows. You don't have to confess. You don't have to do any of that. It's all innate. It's all within you. So the best friend circle and tribe that you're going to find is the ones within, and you can access them by loopholing, right? If you're an earth sign, you can loophole into other earth signs, you can loophole into other fixed signs. Same with air, you can do the same with air and water. You can do that with mutable energy. You can get into the current of mutable energy, but water would be the feminine and air would be the masculine, right? So you can really become a flying fish, right? You can sort of just make yourself more versatile. And I think that you've been so limited in what you are worth and what your person is even going to look like, feel like. I think whatever you've imagined with past people that you have attachments to is so limited. It's so low frequency compared to your divine counterpart, it's going to be, it would baffle the you that's questioning it. It's not going to baffle the one who finally comes to terms with divine time and just allowing, because that individual, that version of you that accepts divine timing and accepts your own worth and your own abundance is all accessible within, that person's not going to be surprised by their divine counterpart. It's going to be there's not going to be any butterflies, there's not going to be any of the chase or anything like that. That's not the play, that's the games that we want to play here, right? We want to play Mancala, right? We want to like sit down and play chess with somebody that we can trust and we can learn from and be challenged by. And that comes from such a frequency. That frequency is such a balanced frequency, right? Because it is, the individuals involved are divinely aligned and balanced with their masculine and feminine energies. And they're both willing to wait for what is worth, right? Worth the wait. You are worth the wait. And they are worth waiting for, right? But you have to realize that within, so that you can trust your partner is like not going to do you wrong. They're not going to come in before you're ready. They're not going to approach you. A masculine is not going to approach a feminine that is not ready, right? If they do, then they're not in their divine masculine energy, right? They might be in their twin flame energy, but they're not in their divine masculine energy. And same with a feminine. If a feminine is calling in somebody because they want somebody now, then they're going to call in somebody who's on a now frequency. That reminds me of now-laters, those candies. The strawberry ones were my favorite. Or strawberry, the pink ones. The pink chemical ones. And then we have strength. This takes a tremendous amount of strength. This is probably, if you've made it this far in the reading, you're probably exhausted from just hearing all of this, because it's the most simple advice, but it's not easy. The divine is simple, right? It's like nurturing plants, which if you've had houseplants, but see, houseplants are also in pots. But if you talk about like plants in nature, they thrive. If you talk about, a species that's in a box, an iguana in a box, probably not going to do that well. Probably going to be feisty. You're probably going to be dealing with feisty camels if you're keeping them in a corral. But once you let them free, it's amazing how much they flourish. It's very simple. They just need like food, water, shelter, right? And then they procreate. That's pretty much all that species need. But we have overcomplicated it because we want to feel like we're complex or we're special or different or whatever. We're not really that different, and that's okay. In the fact that we are very much the same fundamentally, I think is so beautiful. The fact that we are so small compared to the universe or whatever is incredible to me, because we have the entire universe within ourselves too. So it's like the universe itself is actually minute. And if we can have this experience as being, these physically tiny little creatures like little ants, if we can have these incredible, experiences and trials and challenges, and we can experience all of these different emotions and have so many different thoughts and conversations. The fact that we can have that experience as being such a small little fraction in this big thing, I don't think should make us feel limited. It should make us feel incredibly important, right? Like, why would the universe go through all this trouble to make little bitty us have these major experiences, these major life-changing, altering, energy altering, and karmic cycle shifting and breaking little lives, unless we were very important? That's a lot of energy to put into something so small, like a baby, right? You put a lot of energy into that baby, but the outcome is very there's a lot of hope there, unless you're having a baby to represent you, to live vicariously through, right? If you're doing it for the collective, like you want to raise a stand-up, strong, beautiful, honest, compassionate human being to go out into the world and really make some big changes and shift this off-kilter reality that we're in. Yeah, that takes a lot of energy. This is a very heavy reading. But I had some experiences with my own karma today, and it was beautiful. I mean, it was like, it's one of the first times I didn't ask these people their signs, but I was, helped by a complete stranger, and, I went through some release. I'm selling things, I'm packing up my house, to live in a van, so with 4 dogs, so there's a lot of downsizing going on, and I'm a minimalist, so I probably seem like I don't have very much to most people, but to me it's like a lot. So anyway, so I sold some stuff, and I was really excited about that, and when I looked back on, like, you might be questioning, like, that's the whole your worth thing, but questioning, like, why am I, even if you receive some kind of abundance, you might be like doubting whether or not you deserve it, or just questioning, like, why did this blessing arrive here? And it's like, karma doesn't work directly, right? You might bless one person, but you might not get a blessing back from that person. But you bless somebody. Like a woman gave me a ride today. I was walking back, and had some snacks, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's really hot right now. Like, I left later than I normally do because I was meeting the person to sell some stuff, and I was like, oh man, it's a lot hotter than it usually is in the morning, and I'm like, oh, I really just want to go home and eat my snacks. And just when I was thinking that, this woman pulls up in a white vehicle, like a white chariot, and she's like, "You want a ride, hon?" She's this older lady, and she's going on a vacation. She's not in a rush. Was in a rental car, and it's the first time I didn't ask someone their sign. Like, having an experience like that, I usually ask people, like, "What's your sign?" Because I like to find out, and it's like a game that I play within my own little world, where just to see, if I'm tuned in, or what I'm attracting, what energies I'm attracting. But I did get Libra energy off of her, which is why I'm doing this reading, because I felt like she was just very much like, Libras have this very light cheerleader, like, go for it, devil may care kind of thing, right? Which is funny with the Capricorn energy. It's like devil may care. They're just sort of like la 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 Libras. They're very light. The airheads of the zodiac or whatever, but I don't think that that's necessarily airheads like stupid. I would not say that they are stupid, right? Libra and justice is like the judicial system. Like, these individuals are, when they're on their higher frequency, are very intelligent and tapped in. They just know. There's just like an intuitive knowing about the way things work, but they seem kind of like space cadet-y or different to other people, because most people don't know, and most people are not tapped in, so they need to see it in the 3D. So this is also like a full circle of, if you are challenged with this energy, get into the high frequency of what a Libra, whether you're a Libra or not, right? Get into the higher frequency of a Libra, which is, right, because the major arcana is the biggest challenge for the signs that it's attributed to, right? Is getting into balance, right? So Libras really struggle with that, and I find females particularly, because they've got this, they're born under a very masculine sign. So depending on what's going on in their chart, who they're surrounded by, and all of these other factors that contribute to that, they can, you know, really supplement that in a way that makes them incredibly powerful, like very boss energy, or it can put them really out of balance. So yeah, if you don't know your chart, find out your chart, especially with this moon energy that we're in with Cancer. Maybe find out what your Saturn is in, what's in your Saturn, I mean. Tomato, tomato, right? As without, so within. At the bottom of the deck, we have that Five of Pentacles. Now, the best way to get out of a 5 is to, just like simple math that we learned in school, round it up to a 10. 10 is the number of endings. It's also 1. 10 is 1, which is a new beginning. So if you want a new beginning in love, you're looking for this Ace of Cups to take you to the 10 of Cups. And that's also, the Ace of Cups is about honoring the fact that you need to fill your cup first, right? Ace of Pentacles Pentacles are about balance with health and wellness, right? Health and wealth. So it's wellness. So get into, if you're going to be in that masculine energy, use that masculine energy to motivate you to take care of your feminine vessel, right? To take care of your heart, right? So you can do some cardio to nurture your heart space, to make sure that your heart stays strong and you maintain this strength for this journey that you're on. So you remother yourself, you refather yourself, you refriend yourself, re-sibling yourself, you relove yourself, right? So you're also becoming the divine masculine and feminine within yourself, right? You're balancing those two energies that are within everything. All living things have masculine and feminine energy. All the elements, right? So you're just getting to a place where you can honor those. Right, so you have to nurture, just like a rest day. If you're at the gym, you have to have a rest day. That's the feminine energy. You need to go into a place of resting yourself. So, but to rest, you have to protect yourself, right? Because when you're in that resting period, right, you're more passive, not passive aggressive, but you're more passive energetically. Other things might try to infiltrate. So you can use your masculine energy to sort of stand guard and stay sentinel in this process. Where if you're really in an active energy, you can rely on your feminine energy to keep you nurtured, right? So you can find that balance where if you are running a business, if you're, working on your body, right? With this Five of Pentacles, you could really be working on your body, your health. You could be revamping your diet. You could be doing things in your physical world that could be very draining, right? So round it up to a 10 means to bring it to an ending. Because if you don't bring it to an ending yourself, that lack mentality, right? So use this, like if you're feeling tired, get more sleep. Use that masculine energy to find a way to lead yourself into sleep, because you need your rest. Because if you don't find a way to bring an ending to it, the universe will. And the universe's way of bringing endings to things is far more uncomfortable than if you just do it yourself. So if you're putting anything off, you're putting any endings off, you're trying to release something, and if you're in that masculine energy of being very active, make sure that you are taking your rest days. Make sure that you are, doing masks and pedicures, and this is for men and women, right? Men like pedicures. Admit it or don't, but we are on to you, right? Make sure that you're taking care of yourself, right? Take a long bath, take a nap, meditate. That Four of Swords is crucial to make sure that you are, it's right here. Make sure that you are resting and you're balancing your thoughts, right? And see, this is kind of like the Three of Swords is heartbreak, disappointment. It's things that have hurt you in the past. It's woundings. And this one sword here is almost like standing guard of those things, right? So this is like what I was talking about. You can maintain a space that's protected with that masculine energy. The masculine protects, right? And then the feminine nurtures. So you can really trust yourself in the dream world. Maybe you've been having trouble sleeping, or your dreams are really stirring up a lot of emotions for you that are challenging you. You can go into those places. You can really look at those shadows and know that you are protected, right? If you're trying to do this and involve somebody else in the process, then this sword is going to be like, where was I going with that? This sword is going to be more like you're going to be pointing that sword somewhere else, right? This communication, these thoughts, you're going to be putting energy into something else. So you're not going to be able to really track and protect and safeguard this emotional upheaval, because your mind is going to be elsewhere. Basically put, your mind is going to be elsewhere. So you're going to be split between two places. And if this is your feminine energy here that needs to nurture this, your feminine energy is not going to be able to be part of a partnership, because it's going to be in the Three of Swords. If you come into a relationship in the Three of Swords, you are going to be not fully aware and fully ready for somebody else, and you're going to end up damaging that connection. And that's unfair to do to anybody else, right? You need to get your shit balanced before you try and invite somebody else into lack mentality or suffering, right? So just be wounded. If you're wounded, be wounded, and like lick your wounds. Don't, well, licking your wounds can be seen as like keeping them open, but tend to your wounds and let them heal, so that you are it's funny, this King of Cups has his toenails painted. It's just on the pedicure. Yeah, and with the identity and the gender role stuff, like this could be same-sex dynamic, right? And so there could be some conflict in your sexual identity, your gender identity, what role you play in a relationship. There could be some confusion in that as well. Maybe you just like to paint your nails, but that's just a side note. But so we have the Knight of Cups, the Page of Cups, the King of Cups. Could be attracting a water sign. So if you're in all this masculine energy, the male, right, if you're heterosexual, there you could be a female, and the male could actually be more in a feminine aspect, right? Like a fixed water sign would be earth and water, like a Scorpio would be more in their feminine aspect. So I feel like if there is any struggle with your identity, or maybe you were a tomboy growing up, or a tomgirl, or a Tina girl, or whatever, that's the name of the lady who gave me a ride. Thanks, Tina. But if you are maybe there was just confusion with that, and that really threw you off. That was part of the box that somebody put you in. Maybe your sexuality was questioned a lot, and that made you question it yourself, because you're like, I don't know, I'm just a kid. I'm just a kid in this world. I just like nail polish. What does that mean? Rockers who get all kinds of ladies are, wearing fingernail polish and makeup. So what does that mean? Maybe you can wear pink or something. So being confident, there's something with that. Eight of Swords and the Seven of Wands. Also, like, this is something that you've been fighting for so long. I just feel like you're coming out of this. This individual is running towards this. Now, typically, I would say that this is anxiety, and I do feel like there is anxiety around this that's very draining. But I'm getting more of this is like letting go. Putting all the past thoughts, all those identifiers, those terms, all that past communication, none of it matters. It's coming to a place where, like, it all served you. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Everything does. And it's like when you come out of all this fiery, this is masculine energy coming out of that fiery energy. It could be hypersexualization, right? Maybe you had a lot of sexual partners. Yeah, maybe you experienced some sort of sexual abuse growing up. But this is you coming out of, and this is also like wands can be about magic. They are about magic, like Expecto Patronum. But this is like you coming out of the magic, the black magic world of the words and spells that other people cast upon you, and you're coming into a place where it's like, I'm just going to trust myself, right? There's something very there's a great trust that comes into like binding, if you're doing any kind of like binding or shibari or anything like that to heal some sexual trauma. It takes a lot of trust in the person who's rigging you up. In this case, it's the universe, right? So you're just, with this, I get hope for some reason. I get like hope where it's like you're finally coming to terms with trusting the universe. Well, I'll be damned. And underneath those, the Wheel of Fortune and the Ten of Cups. Three of Swords, Ace of Swords. Yeah. You're in the Three of Swords, and that fourth sword is your Ace of Swords. That is you, like the little page boy pulling that sword out of the stone. You are the underdog. You're going to rise up out of this tumultuous, chaotic upbringing and past, and relying on the external to be your tribe, and you're finding that within. You're finding that truth, that communication with self. Ace starts with the self. Holy shit. 111 on the clock. Is everybody okay? You're finding that within. Ace of Cups is self-love, right? And over here we have the Knight of Cups, the Three of Pentacles. This is the tribe, but I feel like this is again your inner tribe, your Holy Trinity, me, myself, and I, body, mind, and spirit. And then the Six of Wands, self-recognition. So you're coming out of that Seven of Wands into the Six of Wands, right? You are coming out of letting others around you put spells on you, and now you're casting spells. Now with karma, you only want to do magic or spell work for self. If you do any of that to try and attract somebody, well, have you seen The Craft? Or The Craft? Yeah, The Craft. I was thinking of that show. Is it Cursed? Or anyway, with the three sisters. But yeah, The Craft. It will come back on you tenfold, right? Or threefold, or however many folds. It's not going to be good. So my phone just like, I'm surprised it didn't break something. It fell on my little stone altar here, and my stones got all scrambled up. So yeah, maybe tapping into some crystal work, drinking with crystals, yeah, getting into some spell work, getting into some magic, but getting into white magic. Oh shit, I just threw these into the middle of the deck, right with the Magician. And that's wielding all the elements. That's wielding the four. Earth, wind, fire, water. That's you wielding all the tools to really balance yourself. Justice is extremely heavy. Wheel of Fortune is just about waiting for it. But it's like if you try to expedite your fortune, your abundance, your union, your blessings, you're going to be hit with the repercussions of that. And that fucks with your karma, fucks with your balance. It's essentially when you do magic on others, it brings that black magic back on you. And that's the Seven of Wands. You're leaving that behind. You're not allowing others to influence your energy. You're going to use that masculine energy to protect your space and safeguard the feminine so that you can attract a divine masculine that does the same. Right? And if you're the masculine, you're protecting your feminine right? Because you're probably under attack too, right? When you're on this divine path, you're always under attack, but you're probably under heightened attack right now. And your energetic field is like that. So it's a womb. It's like the womb. So yeah, you have to really nurture yourself like the only time you were ever safe, which was in the womb. So yeah, it's going back to the very beginning and before that. That's what shadow work's all about. That's what karma's all about. It's purification. It's making sure that you're doing things with the right intention, and not expecting anything from anybody else but yourself. Right? It's the only place you can have expectations. You have boundaries and standards for others, but that's basically you saying you're worth it. Right? With the fours, that's Four of Cups. Four of Swords is balancing yourself, so you find out what's aligned with you. And then the Four of Cups and the Four of Pentacles is about initiating that in the 3D, in the feminine, really nurturing that, respecting that, protecting that. And then the Four of Wands is the union. It's the bringing all of that together so that you come into that place. And that's the balanced energies, the balanced form of the elements right there. And that brings you into, when you balance the four elements, then you align with the fifth, which is consciousness. And that's all. All right, this one was longer, but it was also 2. So, yeah. I think that's it. I was waiting to see if there was anything else. But I think that there's plenty in there. So I hope that there was something that speaks to you, encourages you to keep on this path, to love yourself, to nurture yourself, to protect yourself. Get some sage. Get some sage. Yeah. Essential oils, your stones. Really protect your space, because you already know where you're going, and now you just need to trust that that you're on the right path, that you're doing the right thing, that everything, all this work is actually for your highest good, and you want to get to your highest good for the collective, right? You want to raise the vibration of the collective. That's your purpose. That's the divine path. That's the purpose of the divine path, is inevitably to raise the vibration. How we do that on our individual paths is different for everybody, but we all contribute to the same cause. We're all collectively working our asses off, right, to get to this place of near utopia, right? We'll keep it realistic enough to where if enough people get together, it can really shift the energy, right? And you can shift the energy, but you don't want to manipulate the energy. That's a shadow aspect of the magician. You don't want to mess with the energy around you, manipulating it to your benefit. You shift your energy, right? You can work that energy. You can be a magician within, and then that will just organically shift the energy around you to the benefit of the collective. All right, I think I just said the same thing in different ways, but anyway, all right, I'm gonna go eat all my snackies and enjoy the day. So yeah, I wish you well.